Why, hello there. I didn't see you. My name's Captain Tom Van Wyk from Data Marine Services. You may remember me from such videos as how to parbuckle an unconscious victim onto your boat. At any rate, we help thousands of people become marine captains and be their absolute best on the water. Today, I'm here to talk to you about logbooks. Look, here's why logbooks are important. They legally show your best practices. When you fill out a logbook, think of each entry as adding another footstep in tracks of competency that you're leaving behind you. If something awful happened and there was an accident, you want to show outside auditors such as the Transportation Safety Board, Transport Canada, or even the RCMP if they're looking into criminal negligence. You want to be able to show all of these people that you are doing your best. What your marine operation has to do with isn't unsafe and it's not negligent, but it was just an accident. Hence, a physical logbook needs to be in a book, not a binder, but a book with non-removable pages. So you can't say, oh, Joe Smith? No, I've never met Joe Smith. They were never on my boat last Tuesday. Rip the page out. And if you make a mistake, you have to show the mistake because you filled out the logbook in pen. You just cross it out and initial it and rewrite your correct entry. If you're using a digital copy, a digital logbook should be locked after filling it out and stored somewhere on a secure server so it can be shown to be non-alterable. Logbooks, they're not that hard, but they're a great way to demonstrate your excellence. Okay, everybody. Here's an example of a logbook for a generic passenger vessel. So the deal with the logbook is it doesn't have to take you a long time. You're going to develop your own shorthand, but you need to be able to recognize what you wrote and what you were doing at the time in case you have to talk about it months later. This logbook is for a boat called Bodie McBoatface, and we're going to fill out the date at the top there, 17th of September 2025, and of course the captain is Jack Sparrow. And the voyage description is going to be from Nanaimo to Vancouver across the Salish Sea. Now, when it comes to checks, your passenger briefing can just be a check mark. You would fill out more details about what you say in your passenger briefing and maybe plunk that down, paste it in a little page at the front of the logbook. Same goes for a daily vessel check. You're going to check out stuff like oil and your bilge, and so that should be customized for your boat depending on the equipment you've got on board. Weather conditions. Also, you're going to check your marine weather forecast for Strait of Georgia, south of Nanaimo, and maybe you're going to check the current conditions at a place like Entrance Island. Anyways, you can customize that for your specific boat and your specific area. Now we get into filling out the times and the descriptions and fill out the passenger column. So you show up for work, it's 8 o'clock. It takes you about 10-15 minutes to fill out your vessel check and get the boat ready to start the day. So there we go. We completed our startup and predicted northwest winds in the afternoon. Now the passengers march down the dock and they want to come on board. So there's 11 of them. Hi guys, welcome on board. I gave the passengers a safety briefing and brought 11 people on board. Then, 9:15, we were running merrily along our way off Entrance Island. Hey, wow, we got to see 4 orcas. Isn't that nice? So we're going to write down significant events when you go past a major navigational area or when you're transiting through a narrow or something happens or you see some wildlife. Just take a moment, fill it in. And before you know it, the logbook has an accurate representation of what you did that day. Now at 10:45, we've crossed the Salish Sea, but oopsies, it got a little choppy at Cape Roger Curtis at Bowen Island. 1 meter seas. Oh man. Okay, well, wrote it down. At 10:50, poor guy, passenger John Doe slipped and grazed his knee. Uh-oh. Here's a little minor incident. We're gonna write stuff like that down too. So fill in a couple more details. John Doe looked at me. I could tell he was bleeding a bit, so I stopped, wiped his knee with some antiseptic, gave him some first aid, and of course I told him, hey John, I'm not a doctor. If you're worried about it, you definitely need to get it checked out. And then, was this an accurate representation? Can you initial here that this is what happened, it's fair, and it's honest? If it's just a small incident like this, perhaps The organization you're working with does not require an incident report. Serious injuries do. If you have a big log strike or there's damage or there was a collision, that's a separate incident report, but in this case, not a big deal. However, I have had this exact type of scenario where I had a guy goofing off. He grazed his knee. He looked at me funny. I was like, this one feels weird. I stopped and gave him first aid and I wrote down what happened. And, got him to initial it. Like, this is what happened. You hurt your knee. Well, guess who shows up 4 days later with a neck brace? He didn't hurt his neck, but he showed up trying to pull a silly little game. And by that time, 4 days later, I'd already done like 8-9 trips. My details were really foggy and I couldn't really remember, something happened with that guy. Well, when were you on board? Oh, it was last Tuesday. Yeah, it was right here. Here, look, you initialed it and everything. So it's a great way to protect yourself. It's a great way to, passengers might need a record to say like, yeah, I got hurt, and they have to come back to their insurance. So it's just easier to stick to the truth because that helps you, it helps your boat and your organization, and it helps the passengers too. Anyhow, John Doe was okay, so off we go, 12:15. We make it into False Creek, and bye-bye everyone. Then, say 13:30, I took some time to tie up the boat for the night, rinse it off, and there was no issues. So fill it out, you'll have the right amount of detail, and it didn't take you that long. It's not painful. When I was taking my 150-ton master's license, the Transport Canada safety examiner asked me, well, Captain Tom, what are you doing with your 150-ton? And I told him, well, I want to do SVOP, small commercial vessel training. And he said, can you say this one thing to everybody you meet? Do what you say what you do, and write it down. Well, even Maple agrees that logbooks are your best practice and not that hard to fill out. So thanks for listening to us and have a safe voyage. NC.